Hello, and welcome to the Canadian Story, where we discuss what Canada is, what Canada could be, and what Canada should be. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Canadian Story. I'm very honored to have my friend Vivek with us today. He goes by Vic, but his full name is Vivek. Vic, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, like a 30-second bio?
I'm a father of two children. I got two boys, 6 and 4. I'm a husband. I'm a son. I have 3 sisters who I'm very close with. I'm very much a family man. I would consider myself Indo-Canadian, born and raised in Canada, born in Calgary. St. Catharines, lived in Calgary my whole life. Professionally, I am an orthodontist. I've had a lot of success in the professional space. From that, I consider myself an entrepreneur. And overall, I'm a high energy, go get 'em kind of guy. So
you really are. Like you're the kind of guy you see something and you're like, I'm gonna go do that now. I'm just gonna do it. You're like, people say that's impossible, and you're like, no, it's not impossible. I wanted to talk a little bit about 2 parts of your journey. The first part I wanted to talk about was how you came to see the world in the way that you do, because you see the world uniquely through the lens of an entrepreneur, right? An explorer, someone who's going and doing something that hasn't necessarily been done before, right? The way that you went about dentistry wasn't the reason you were so successful, is that you changed how it was done, right? Do you want to share a little bit with the listeners, like what was your thought process? What built that kind of entrepreneurship in you? Was it how you were raised? Like, what was it about who you are that made you take that step to be so innovative?
You know, it's interesting you say that, because I always felt, David, that everything I did was wrong, right? I was always kind of getting myself into trouble, whether I was in elementary. I remember in grade 1, I was always sent to the hallway. Back then it was like, discipline was a big part of schooling. And, I was always shamed at every stage, but I didn't understand how I always came out on top. Like whether it was, my mom stopped going to parent-teacher interviews early on because she said, I know what they're going to say. I know exactly what they're going to say. You're doing unbelievable in school and everything's going well. However, you need to start behaving. And I said, okay, Mom, I promise I won't do that. And then right back at it again. And, and she stopped going. And my dad just never went because he's more traditional East Indian. Like, if I show him the grades, then life is good. Right, if I don't show him the grades, then we have a problem at home. Right.
Right.
So it was a pretty interesting kind of like, upbringing, but it worked. Right. And I was always doing things different, no matter what, and entrepreneurship is something that you don't just, it's in your blood. Like, my mom told me my mom said the first deal I ever did is I sold my dad's shoes without laces in 1986 to the neighbor's kid for $2. And back then she said like that was ridiculous.
That's amazing.
It was on the very bottom shelf. Yeah. Right. And they were these big oversized size 11 shoes. And I probably was like 5 or 6 and I sold it for $2. and she had to take the money back to the kid's mom because it was a $2 bill and it was a lot of money. And she thought that the kid might have stolen it from their piggy bank or something.
Right.
But that just kind of started my career. Right. And since then, like, it's just, I've always had this like, pattern of like, kind of thinking outside the box and, using my street smarts and using like, what I've been trained in formally to like always push the limit, right? And you and I have talked about this a lot, but one of the things I love is just how you just see life as beautiful, right? And I think that's a big part of being able to be so creative, right? If you're not looking at life and thinking it's beautiful, if you're in a place of depression and sadness and all these kind of things, it's hard to be creative. Would you agree with that? Like, I just find that I'm always in my best zone when I'm just so grateful to be alive. Yeah, David, this is a no holds barred interview. You're free to ask anything. And, I'm not free of any struggles. Right. And,
no, I know. I want to talk about that too. But first we'll start on the good stuff first. Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Whether it's in good times or in bad, like it's all a mindset. Right. And, I was led to believe that intuition is bullshit. I was led to believe that you gotta fit this little box, and I was led to believe that you gotta kind of be like everybody else. If that was the case, I wouldn't be who I am today, right?
Yeah, no. If you're like everyone else, you'll be like everybody else.
Exactly, and I don't want to. I'm born with a high energy kind of makeup. I physically, mentally, I'm always ready to go. I love it. It doesn't take any effort, and that's what kind of is my modus operandi every day. Is get up and go, action, no talking. Let's get
it done.
And I'm not talking, and it's not only in the entrepreneurship space. It's whether I'm with my children or whether I'm with my dad or my sisters or my wife or whoever, my friends. It's let's go. Let's make moves, or let's have some fun.
Let's do things. Well, you said something to me on the phone the other day that I absolutely loved, and I'd love you to talk about more. You said lightning doesn't strike twice. And I want you to go into that, because I think that was a revelation you had about yourself, right? You're like, people will say, oh, you got lucky. Well, no, you didn't get lucky. Lightning doesn't strike twice. So I want you to go into that idea.
I actually said it from a business standpoint, but
Yes,
I think I mean it in many different aspects. Is when I had my big liquidity event, that's when I said to you, lightning doesn't strike twice, right? Will it happen again? I can't put all my eggs on one basket and say it will. But basically what I'm trying to say is that you got to constantly be pivoting and changing, right? Don't just get stuck in one thing, right? If you're gonna think that it's gonna stay the same way it is. I still have a realtor that reminds me of how it was in 1985. I'm like, dude, lightning doesn't hit twice, man. So let's change it.
Yes.
Use that wisdom, right? I appreciate that. It's so invaluable, but let's apply it to today, right?
Yeah, things have changed. The game is different now.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
And that's why if I want lightning to hit twice, my rule of thumb is I link up with guys that are a decade or two older than me and a decade or two younger than me. And, I know you're younger than me, and it's been great working with you even, right? I want to know what you're thinking about at all times.
Well,
right?
Yeah, and I was thinking about when you said that, because you and I had been talking about Tesla about a year and a half ago, right? And then it really actually, I felt very honored when you told me that, because you're like, look, David, you just keep being right. This isn't luck anymore. Right?
No, it's not luck. It's not luck.
And I think there's something, I don't know if this is a Western culture thing or if it's a modern world thing, but people don't want to credit hard work with success. They want to credit luck.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I think it is? It's because they don't want to admit that maybe they're lazy.
Exactly. And I think that's what a lot of it is, David, is that it all comes down to lack of action. Action takes energy, whether it's in your brain, half of the energy we spend is in the thinking, right? Our brain is actually the most used piece in our body, right?
Yeah,
more
for
than
calories.
Maybe
Yeah, it burns more calories than everything else, right? Yeah.
Than anything else, right? And if you're going to think about it, well, that's the hardest part. Let's get moving, right? That's the easy part. But it's usually the opposite, right? People don't want to do the thinking.
You find that people just kind of sit around and talk a lot. I find that all the time. They just want to talk.
I tell people, I'm like, if you want to talk to me, well, then take me out for a very, very nice steak dinner and feed me very well. And I promise I'll listen to all what you want to talk about. Right?
Yeah, right.
At least feed me.
At least
or
give me
pay
some
me
food.
For it.
Yeah, exactly.
At least feed me. I love good food. So if you want to talk, well, let's go for dinner and then you pay the bill. Yeah. But otherwise, we got shit to do, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to eat, so at least you could take the time to do that, right? But yeah.
But I like being creative, and and again, I didn't follow intuition enough before, David. Intuition, I did follow it, but I didn't follow it enough. And I listen to my gut feeling now, right? And a lot of people say it's not worth it, or say Vivek Cheba has got a horseshoe up his ass. It's not that. No. It's I have intuition for this stuff. It's kind of like a pianist playing piano, or a tennis star playing tennis, right? They just got this feeling. They know where to be at the right time, strike the right chord with the right amount of force. And I just have an intuition about what I do, and I do it best.
Yeah, you're the best. You're
Whether
definitely the best I've ever seen at what you do. Like, it's incredible to watch you. I say
yeah,
to some
and
of
I
my
always
friends, I'm
doubted
like,
that.
no, it's true. It's incredible. I say to a few of my friends, it's like there's four millennials, because you're still in the millennial category, right? There's four millennials in my life that I'm like, these are the people that I look up to, right? Like, these are the men who went out and did it. And you're definitely one of them. Like, there's not enough success stories in Canada of people like you. There should be more, right? And that's part of what I wanted you to have on the podcast. Is there's a couple of things, but the first is I want to know why you love this country and how you think it presented you with the opportunity, and Alberta too. And then we could talk a little bit about the Kenny campaign. But more than that, I want to know, what do you think the secret sauce is? Like, but I know it's the energy and stuff, but like, I know you everyone who's successful does a motto or like a code or a set of principles, right? What is Vic's code?
And that comes down to core values, right? What are your core values? My core values are family, right? And people just say that, but I started off with that. I'm so blessed to have the greatest family in the world, right? Like, I got three sisters who I talk to, each and every one of them every single day. I got a great supporting father. Unfortunately, lost my mother last year, but she was a huge inspiration. She taught me about kindness and karma, and kindness is a currency that we don't use enough.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
I've talked about that. So like, that's, and we're going to talk about my hard times, but family is one of the things that, has to be in your core values. That's what my foundation is built on. If I don't have that, then I don't feel I'm anything. I didn't really consider spirituality as a big part of what I did before, right? I grew up around the spiritual environment, but I never ever absorbed it or ever did anything with it. Now I feel like there is a spiritual component that we have to zone in on, and I almost just say the spiritual component is just listening to yourself, like talking to your body, talking to your mind, and saying, where am I at? Like, honestly, David, you didn't hit me on a good day. I haven't slept since 2 a.m.
Right.
I woke up and I've been tossing and turning, but I'm listening to myself today. And that's where I got to zone in with my spiritual self. And I thought that was bullshit before. I was like, oh man, you're just tired. Like, keep going. It's like, no.
Yeah, your body's saying something. It's saying something.
Yeah. And the world is telling me, the energy in the world is telling me to just slow down today. Just be a little bit more mindful about everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's okay today.
I love that.
It's okay today just to be like, a 3 out of 10 instead of going for 15 out of 10 like I always want to, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you got to slow down.
And it's like the stock market, man. There's ups and downs, right?
It goes up and down. Does it ever? And if you let your emotions go up and down with it, you'll never be happy, right?
Yeah. So that's my core values. Is just family. One big thing I've learned is doing what I say I'm going to do, right? And that's what I when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Again, like, I've struggled in the past with flip-flopping and whatnot, but now it's just like, when I say I'm going to do something, it's going to get done no matter what. There's no and David, when I told you on day one,
being a man of your word.
Exactly. When I met you on day one through the Kenny campaign, and we were just two guys
who didn't even know each other. We just met, right?
I said we were going to get it done, and we got it done on
every step
point,
of the way.
At every single point, we blew it out of the water, right?
We did, and then look what we did. We got a premier elected. Yeah.
So and then my other core values is my children, man. Like, I have to leave this world a better place than when I found it for my children, right? And so, like, that's what keeps me going too, right? Doing what's right.
What's it like being a father? We haven't had any real chats on this podcast about being a father, but that's obviously a huge part of life. What's it like being a father to you two young boys in the modern world?
Not everybody should be a parent, but I'm blessed to be a parent, right? Parenting is again, it takes work. You can't just talk about being a good parent. You actually have to do it. You have to follow through. Thank goodness I married my wife, because she should be like, she's the role model for how you be a good parent. And I just have to follow and do what she tells me. But I feel I'm a great father. I'm so proud to be a father. I have two very, very great children, and again, like that makes me whole, right?
It really does.
Is getting to be a good role model, and whether it's good or bad, because we're going to talk about bad too. And nobody ever talks enough about challenges, right? And I'm proud to be their father in thick and thin.
Yeah. I'm not a father yet. Hope to be one day, but I have realized how much work it is. I just recently got a dog, which everyone will be able to hear barking in the background. But I didn't have any idea how much work it was. You watch people who are parenting, and you're like, oh, like that. They seem tired, and that seems hard. But even just getting a dog, I'm like, wow. Like, what's it going to be like to have a kid, right?
It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work,
but worth it, right? So I wanted to go into this conversation you were having. Like, you became immensely successful, and then you hit your darkest time. And I think a lot of people figure once they become successful, they'll be happy, right? Once they reach whatever the goal is, things will be better, right? You reached the pinnacle of achievement at a very young age. And Jim Carrey has a quote where he says, I hope that people can achieve all their dreams when they're young, so they'll realize that that's not what they wanted, right? And I think I'd like you to share with the listeners that, because I feel like people often look at success and they think, oh, they're so lucky, right? If I only had that, I'd be happy. Well, actually, no matter what happens to anyone in life, your happiness is going to stay the same as your internal ability to be happy. So do you want to share with the listeners a bit about that?
Yes. Sorry, 1 sec. I'm just ordering a coffee.
No worries. Right in the drive-through.
So, I always thought that if I got into university, I was going to be happy. Right. And then if I just, got into dental school, I'd be happy. And then I thought that, sorry here. This is I love I can be myself, David, on your podcast.
For sure. Of course.
I'm ordering a coffee while I'm
You could always be yourself with me, Vic.
Okay. Sorry. It's all done. All squared up. I always thought that the next level, would make me happy, because that's again what I was told.
Yes.
Go to school, get a job, get a girlfriend and get married and yada, 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 have children, and you're going to have the greatest life. Every juncture, I was less and less happy.
Yeah.
But I was expending a huge amount of energy, and I felt that along every step of the way, I was adding another 10 pounds into this backpack.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it started when I was about 7 years old, or maybe even sooner, 5 years old. Eventually I hit a roadblock where I just couldn't carry it anymore, and I had to start numbing the pain.
Right.
And I numbed it through the wrong channels, whether it was through alcohol, or whether it was through substances, or whether it was through money, my relationship with money. Because remember, I was doing very, very well, and money is also a behavioral addiction.
It's kind of a drug too, right? Getting more of it makes you feel better, right?
Yep. Whether it was through my relationship with sex, whether it was my relationship with work, whether it was my relationship with chaos. I was addicted to chaos.
Oh man, you're preaching to the choir there. I've definitely been addicted to chaos.
Nobody talks about that.
No.
Nobody wants to talk about that. And when you say addiction, you're like, oh man, it's just maybe alcohol and blah, blah. No, I was addicted to anything and everything just to numb the pain.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And the pain of saying, why can't I be happy? I have everything and I still want more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. So do you want how that happened to you? Right. You reached the breaking point, and how did you get to the other side?
First of all, I completely purged my life of everything. Everything.
Yep.
My businesses, my friends, everything. I went and got help. I asked for help. My wife and my family were like the foundation that supported me, got me to help. I went for a 6-week in-person treatment program with one of the best places in Canada. It's known as the Bellwood Treatment Center. it's meant for healthcare professionals. It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
10 to 15% of healthcare providers suffer from this illness. Maybe less than 0.5 actually go and get help, because again, we're trained to be tough and we're trained to be the best. Oh yeah. And I thought it was a low point. I thought I was going to lose everything. I thought I was going to come back with no wife, and I thought I was going to come back with nothing, and I was going to lose all my businesses, and life was going to be over, and my family was going to disown me, and I would never have any friends, and I'd have to move, and I'd have to start faking this new life.
Right.
And the complete opposite happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Everything came back to you and more.
Yeah. And I had to pay some taxes. Right. And I'm proud to say I had to pay the tax, man. I paid with reputation. I paid with money. I paid with, lost friends. I paid with, my family being upset at me. But guess what? I've taken off that 1,000-pound backpack and I left it in Ontario. I threw it in the lake somewhere. I don't know where it was, but I've started dealing with my shit.
Oh, I love that. And do you have any tips for people of how to deal that you learned in that 6-week process?
They say what you learned in that 6 weeks, and it's not just the 6 weeks, because then you have to commit to continue doing
for
it
life.
Right?
For life, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not having a good day today.
No,
right?
No,
I'm not. Today's an off day, but I'm very mindful of it, and there's some signs and cues I'm going to be watching out for today all day to make sure that I stay grounded. Right?
Yeah.
So that I don't have to, and I'm processing today as I'm going along.
Yeah. Not every day is going to be good, and that's okay too. Right?
And the thing is, it's the opposite too. If the day is too good, I also have to be very careful.
Right.
David.
True. Yes.
If I'm not processing that, then I can get myself into trouble too, because I used to celebrate in good and bad.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. It didn't matter. All I wanted to do was celebrate, because really like you said, I love what you said, was you wanted to numb it. I love this. I'm exactly the same, right? At 23 years old, I'm in the Prime Minister's office, right? There's not been a single thing in my life that I've set truly set my mind to that I've not been able to achieve. Not one. Exactly. Because it's like you described. We just have more energy than other people. Right? We could just push. But the problem is we're not happy, right? There's just this aching emptiness that we're trying to there's this abyss that you just are trying to fill with stuff. Because you're like, someday the abyss will be filled, but it won't. Yeah. Because, and this is actually why I think of the opioid epidemic that is destroying Red Deer, destroying places all over Canada. And I think they're just trying to fill the void. Right? Yeah. They're just trying to feel okay.
And it's very, 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 very hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
Very few people come back from that. And I'm very mindful every day. I set I'm always checking my meter. Where am I at? It's called the DEFT scale, right? It's basically your distress levels, whether you're in the anxious zone or the depressive zones, right?
Right.
And you learn that in recovery, and you have to set your dial. Where are you at? Right?
Yeah, you have to.
Today I'm tired.
If you pay attention,
I didn't work out.
Yeah.
I'm also addicted to food. I love food, right?
But I mean, if you can't love food, what can you love in the world? Humans are meant to love food.
and yeah, absolutely. But it's very, very important that today I'm checking all that. Right?
Yes.
I'm checking my sleep. I'm checking because I haven't slept, so something's going to be off today. It has to be.
Yeah.
There's some balance that's off. So I gotta watch out for the cues so I don't get myself into any trouble, right? Because before I was a day like today, I knew how to numb the pain. It worked every single time. It has 100% success rate.
Yep.
But I can't go back to that life because it only turns out to be more agonizing, and it just adds more weight to your backpack.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm free and void of that backpack now.
I love this. Is so good. We only have 10 minutes left, but one of the questions that I ask everyone, and I really want to know because your perspective on this is something that matters to me a lot. Why do you love Canada? What is it about Canada that you love?
Physically, we are one of the most beautiful countries, right?
Yes.
I have gone from East Coast to West Coast, and I have been blessed to be traveling. I remember when I went to New Brunswick, I'm like, holy shit, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was amazing. I went to Quispam and I went to St. John's and I went to Nova Scotia and I've been to Newfoundland. I did an exchange program in Quebec and I've done all of Ontario. And then I've been to Northern Manitoba and the reserves. And then I've done Saskatchewan. Like, I've been in places where people don't go, especially a Punjabi guy.
Yeah.
What the hell is he doing there? Right?
Yep.
I went fishing in Port Alberni and I got in trouble for not listening to the instructor, but I was just in awe that where we were. So, you know what? First of all, like, we are outdoors people. Humans are outdoors people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're meant to procreate, defend the roost, and be outdoors
and explore.
Okay?
Yes.
It's an explorer. That's
who we are.
So, like, we are so blessed to have one of the most beautiful countries. I've been to other countries as well. I've traveled to some of the most beautiful places, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still think Canada is one of the nicest countries, and the grass is not greener on the other side.
No, this is as good as it gets. This is as good as it gets.
I've been to Australia, and I cannot wait to be back home.
Yeah,
I just invested in a property in Kelowna, and I'm so excited to be spending my summers there.
Kelowna's like the Garden of Eden.
Exactly. You go to Cal Lake and you do some boating on the like. What the hell? We're so fortunate. I do fishing in on the island, and then this weekend I was snowmobiling in Golden, and I'm like, is this Earth? Like we have it in our own backyard.
I know,
right? And I come from my parents are from India, and I see pictures and I hear stories, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, we get to drink clean water and we get to breathe in this air, and the basics are just so like, we take it for granted, So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and I hate rules, but now as I'm getting older, I love that we have a good system. Now, it's not perfect, and there's no country that's perfect, but I think Canada's done it the best, or amongst the best in the world. We have one of the most fair systems. Right. Yeah. I've been in some, situations starting in grade 1 in school, but I think overall we have a very good rules-based system. And I'm very proud to say that, we defend that, and, and it keeps us organized. People bitch and complain about politics, this and blah, blah, blah. It's like, do you know how lucky we are? Overall. Yeah. Overall, we're the luckiest there is. This person's leading or that. We are very, very fortunate. And people, and again, going back to entrepreneurship, people want to do business with Canada because we're good people. Yes. We have a very good reputation, and that matters, right? Is our currency. I've suffered in reputation, but exactly. Exactly. We have more of that currency to offer than any other place on earth, I feel, right? Yes. So I want to go back to... It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you fall on. We're blessed, man. Yeah. And I want to go back to what you were just saying about rules, because I'm exactly the same way. What do you think it is about you that doesn't like rules? You know what? Because I always want to do it my way. Now, remember, back to the addiction. I'm selfish. I'm manipulative. I can get, angry, or I can do things my way. Right. And again, I have to be mindful of when I'm doing that. And that's why I said I didn't like it before, but I realized how that extreme external discipline is necessary to everybody. Yeah. 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 It doesn't matter, right? That's how we're going to have chaos, and we're not going to have a lot of those problems I'm talking about. Yeah. And I think Canada does it the best. Yeah. Look at what happened in the US. What a shit show. That's a bunch of addicts running around. Yeah. That was the old Vivek Cheba, bull in a china shop. Yep. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Everybody's a bull in a china shop in the US, right? Yeah. But here, I feel we're a little bit more calm, and we have a good reputation, and I believe in rules now. I didn't before. Wow, I love that. That is, you know what we're gonna call this episode, Zach? Rules can be good. No, in fact, if you use them properly, I think they get you further ahead. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that I was the same way. Like, I always hated being told what to do. Basically, I was like, I will not be controlled. For me, that's what it was. I will not be controlled. And I was talking to my dad and mom about this last night, and they're like, growing up, David, no one could control you, right? Like, it was like,
I was homeschooled, so I didn't have the teacher stuff, but my mom had this mom's group where she would bring me when I was 2 to like meet the other little kids. And I was a terror. I was a terror, right? Because it was like, no, it's my way or the highway.
Exactly. Me too, David.
Yeah. And
I think you know what? We're blessed. And if we use those, smart guys will use those and know how to work with it, right? And I never did that. Now I think I have more success that I have this extreme external structure, right? I think I'm doing better, actually.
Well, and even if you're not doing better externally, you're doing so much better internally, and that's all that matters anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. It's interesting that you pointed that out, because it's definitely something I've noticed about myself. I was like, I really hate rules. Like, a funny story is I got invited to some secret society thing emailed me. I don't know if it's real or not, but like I got this email from the secret society, and I'm like, and I was curious, right? I'm like, well, this is interesting. And so I emailed them back and I said, I'm interested in hearing about it because I like the idea of brotherhood and, camaraderie and community.
We all need community, man.
And then and I get the email back with all these rules that I had to follow just to be part of their society. Right? And I'm like, have fun with your society. I hope it goes well. You have like great brotherhood, but the truth is I really don't like rules, and I'm not going to impose more on myself.
I love it, man.
Yeah, no.
And I'm still like that. That's what allows me to think outside the box, but I have to be mindful of it. That's all I'm saying. Before I wasn't mindful of it.
Yeah, no.
As I'm getting older, and again, to be a good father, to be a good husband, you have to be mindful of these things, right? Otherwise you're just going to be a reckless,
a wrecking ball. Like you said, a bull in a china shop.
That nobody wants to be. Yeah, that nobody wants to be around.
But you say you wish you'd been smarter, but most people don't learn what you've already learned now their whole life, and you're still young.
Oh, I'm so blessed.
Yeah,
I'm so blessed I am an addict, or I'm so blessed I went through that struggle.
Right? Yeah, because you broke down quicker than other people would because other people, they could sustain it if they don't have visible problems, right? They could convince themselves that nothing's wrong with how they live. Yeah, exactly. The ego is the enemy. The ego is the enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you realize it's, you can actually work with your ego, then you'll do better.
Yeah.
And trust me, I still have a big ego, and I'm proud of it, man.
I know you do, and I love it. I have
trouble fitting into a fucking room some days, man.
Well, you know why?
Because my head's so big, and I know I'm the man.
Well, it's not that your head's. It's not that your head's so big. Like, it's just what you said. You're the man. You've proven it. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone anymore. You made it, right? Like, it's done. It's over.
But like I said, it's again mindfulness around that, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Am I utilizing it in a good way, or am I just being a jerk and a cocky asshole? Right.
And
again, like, it goes back to that kindness piece. You can have an ego, but you have to be, you have to utilize it to, in a positive way, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I've enjoyed every moment of our friendship, and I wanted to bring you on because you are a huge part of my Canadian story, not just politically, but in friendship. But more importantly, when I think of you, I think, what is a better Canadian story than the child of an immigrant who builds multiple successful businesses, but also learns how to conquer himself? That's the story. Conquer yourself, right?
And this beautiful country allows me to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have been hung somewhere else.
Yeah. True. All right. I've got another episode coming up in 5 minutes, so I have to let you go. But thank you so much for coming on, David. Man. I really appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
All good, brother. Have a good day. You too.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you for listening to The Canadian Story. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at The CAD Story. That's The CAD Story. If you enjoy this podcast, please share it with your friends and family. Let's work together to remind Canadians how great their country is.